Chapter 12. Repentance of the Haughty Dragon. Huang Rong was on the point of cutting up the chicken when they heard a voice behind them. "A third portion, I will take the tail portion." The two youngsters started. How had somebody been able to approach them without them realizing his being there? They turned and beheld a beggar, old, but forceful. The man had a rectangular face, a goatee beard, and vigorous but rather massive limbs. His clothes, frayed on all sides, were however very clean. He held with one hand a green cane, made from translucent bamboo like jade, and carried on his back a large red gourd. He looked so greedy and impatient, one had the impression that if his portion were not given, he was going to seize some by force. Before the two young people had time to answer, he had already sat down in front of them. Without further ado, he took his water bottle and opened it, and a heady alcoholic perfume spread itself in the air. He gluttonously swallowed several mouthfuls before tightening the water bottle. "To Go Jing. A drink, little urchin," said he, "with you." Go Jing found the man rather impolite, but sensed distinctly that he was no ordinary individual, so he did not dare to show disrespect. "No, thank you," he said courteously, "I do not drink alcohol, but you doing so causes me no inconvenience." "And you, little girl," asked the beggar of Huang Rong, "do you drink?" Huang Rong shook her head. Suddenly, she saw that the hand which held the water gourd had only 4 fingers. The index had been severed at the root. She started and thought of the conversation between the Taoists and the odd ones, whom she had overheard behind the window of the inn the other day, concerning the divine beggar with the 9 fingers. Would this be a stroke of luck, she wondered, that we fall thus, by chance, on that elder one? Let us try to probe him a little. The eyes of the beggar were fixed on the chicken held in his hand and he salivated with greediness. She could not stop secretly laughing. She then cut out the bird into 2 and the tail portion was tended to him. Captivated, the beggar seized some and took a full bite. While devouring it, he did not cease praising. "Delicious! Delicious! Even I, who am the ancestor of all the beggars, I could not improvise such a delicious beggar's chicken." Huang Rong traced a smile and tended the other piece to him. "But no," protested the beggar, "you have not eaten yet, you all." This attempt at manners was in vain, purely for form's sake, as that did not prevent him from seizing what was offered to him in a flash. There remained nothing any more but bones. He tapped his belly then and exclaimed, "Ah, my belly! My belly! Hasn't it been a long time that you have been starved of such a good chicken?" Huang Rong burst out laughing. "By the greatest good chance, I prepared a beggar's chicken and here it has entered the majestic belly of the ancestor of the beggars. It's a true honor." The beggar burst out laughing. "Little girl, you are quite brave." He withdrew from his pocket several gilded projectiles. "Yesterday," he explained, "I saw several individuals brawling. The missiles which one of them launched shone like gold. I was the one who benefited from it. I took some of them. In fact, inside, it is cheap metal, but outside, to look good, it is genuine gold. Hold, little urchin, take them and have fun. Where necessary, you can draw some funds from them." Go Jing shook his head. "We regard you as a friend, and when one invites a friend to eat, one does not accept gifts in payment." In doing so he honored the rules of hospitality of the Mongols. The beggar, feeling thwarted, scraped his head. "Then, I am also embarrassed. I have no trouble begging for scraps from people, but today, you provided me such a good chicken. Such a benefit, that I cannot return it, that. Why speak about benefit and repayment, for such a small chicken?" Go Jing said. "And, to be honest, we stole this chicken too." "We took this chicken in passing," confirmed Huang Rong. "You ate it while you passed here, very well done." The beggar still burst out laughing. "You too," said he, "funny enough, I like you well." "Good, if you have a wish to formulate, tell it to me." Go Jing, understanding that he proposed to help them, which again infringed the rules of hospitality, shook his head again. But Huang Rong intervened. "In fact, this beggar's chicken is really not a great thing. I have other small favorite dishes that I would readily make for you to taste. Why won't you come with us?" "Splendid!" exclaimed the beggar, enchanted. "Splendid! What is your honorable name?" asked Go Jing. "My name is Hong, the beggar. And as I am the seventh in my fraternity, you can call me Shigong the seventh elder." "It is indeed him," Huang Rong said. "The divine beggar with the 9 fingers. But it seems to be younger than the Taoist Master Q. How could he be a contemporary of the Master of the Quanzhen 7? Actually, my dad himself isn't old, but yet he is a peer of Shigong. That must be explained by the incompetence of these 7 old Taoists, who wasted their time." She always held some resentment against Q Chuji for his having wanted to force Go Jing to marry Mu Nianqi. They went towards the south and arrived in a small town, where they took a room in an inn. "I'll go to the market," said Huang Rong. "You men, it's better for you to rest a little." Isn't she your little wife?" asked Shigong of Go Jing while watching her depart with a smile. The young man reddened, not daring to agree or to disagree. Shigong burst of laughing, and started to drowse on a chair. More than 1.5 hours later, Huang Rong returned finally and settled in the kitchen. Go Jing wanted to help her, but the girl closed the door while laughing. Another half an hour passed. Shigong yawned, stretched, and inhaled deeply. "That smells jolly good," he said. "But what could that be? Well, it's odd." He stretched his neck, trying to look through the door of the kitchen. Looking at him, both impatient and greedy, Go Jing could not stop himself from secretly laughing. Delicate aromas emerged from the kitchen, but Huang Rong remained always invisible. Shigong did not hold still anymore. He scratched his head, rubbed his cheeks, rose, sat down, stood up, as if he were on burning coals. "I am like that," he confided to Go Jing. "I have this unpleasant vice of greediness. When I think of eating, I forget everything else." He tightened his right hand and showed its 4 fingers. The old man said, "The index finger moves because of greediness." It was completely true. Each time I see or feel a dish that is original or exquisite, the index of my right hand cannot prevent itself from quivering. Once, because of my greediness, I ruined an extremely important business. Then, I was so much in anger against myself that, with a blow of a knife, I sliced off my index finger. Go Jing started, but Shigong sighed. "But I cut off my finger in vain, because my gluttony remained." At this time, Huang Rong entered, smiling, carrying a large wooden plate, which she poised on the table. On the plate were 3 bowls of white rice, a cup of wine and 2 large bowls containing the principal dishes. Go Jing felt a delicious aroma, extremely appetizing, escaping. In one of the large bowls were laid out the beef sticks roasts which, apart from their odor, did not seem exceptional. The other contained a clear soup the color of jade, in which floated many red cherries and 10 pink petals. On the bottom lay young fresh bamboo shoots. The association of the 3 colors, red, white and green, formed a multicolored whole that was extremely pleasant to the eye. The sense of smell was also engaged because the soup emitted a delicate scent of lotus. Huang Rong poured wine in the cup which she placed in front of Shigong while smiling. "Shigong, taste my dishes and tell me what you think of them." Hong didn't need to be told twice without even drinking the wine. He brandished his chopsticks and seized 2 meat sticks that he engulfed voraciously. An exquisite taste filled his mouth. This was not merely beef. Whenever he chewed, different sensations struck him. Sometimes an oily and juicy flavor, sometimes a succulent freshness. Scents succeeded themselves in complex and unpredictable variations, like the blows of a martial arts expert. Startled and delighted, Shigong examined the sticks more closely, and saw that each of them was formed by 4 small different intertwined sticks. He shut his eyes to savor the taste better. "He said, "there is mutton thigh on 1 stick, another of pig ears of milk, the third one of calf kidney, and the last one. If you guess, said Huang Rong with a grin, you're really fantastic. She had barely finished her sentence before Shi Gong cried. Deer thigh mixed with rabbit. Bravo! Applauded the girl. Well guessed. Go Jing was completely stunned. These meat sticks needed so much work. He said to himself. And Shi Gong is truly astonishing to have known to distinguish the 5 different types of meat. There are only 5 meat types, Shi Gong went on. But the blend of pork and mutton gives a certain taste, the deer with beef another. How many variations there are in all, that, I wouldn't like to say. If one does not count the order of the variations, said Huang Rong with a smile, there are some 25, corresponding to the 5 times 5 petals of the plum flower. As the meat stick resembles a flute, then this dish has a name. It is called Plum Flowers Fall to the Jade Flute Song. The which in the question means that there is a placement sort to the test. Shi Gong, you passed the test, you are the champion of all the gourmets. Bravo! The beggar cried to himself. No one knew whether he applauded the name of the dish or his own skillfulness in discerning the tastes. Then he placed 2 cherries in a spoon and says while laughing, this bowl of lotus leaf soup, with those bamboo sprouts and cherries, is so pretty to look at, one regrets almost to have to eat it. He swallowed and cried. Ah! Then he said to himself, astonished at? He took 2 more and exclaimed again, ah! The freshness of the leaf of lotus, the taste of the bamboo sprouts, the sweetness of the cherries, all that, obviously, leaps to the taste buds, but what's more, the cherries, after having been pitted, had been stuck something. In the cherries, says Shi Gong while hesitating, what's there? He closed his eyes again, trying to recognize the taste. This is lark's meat. He mumbled to himself. No. If this is not the partridge, this is turtle-dove. Yes, thought it, this is turtle-dove. He opened his eyes, saw that Huang Rong raised her thumb and was all to trust to have found. So what's the complex name of this soup with lotus leaves, bamboo sprouts, cherries and turtle-dove? Elder, said Huang Rong, you haven't mentioned one more ingredient. Ah yes? Hong said, astonished. He regarded the soup again. Yes, he agreed, there are these flower petals. Exactly. Confirmed Huang Rong. The name of this soup, can you imagine it from these 5 ingredients? If this a riddle game, I declare I've lost. Tell me quickly. I'll give you a clue, said Huang Rong. It suffices you to think about the Book of the Odes. Oh no. Shi Gong protested, I know nothing in the books. The flower hints at a beauteous complexion, explained Huang Rong, the cherries to her small mouth, isn't that right? Ah, this is therefore the beauteous soup? No, said Huang Rong while shaking the head. The bamboo is a symbol of modesty, it therefore characteristics a gentleman, just as the lotus is the most eminent of the flowers. Thus, bamboo and lotus relate to a gentleman. Oh, said Shi Gong, this is therefore the gentleman and beauteous soup? What about the turtle-dove? Said Huang Rong. Indeed, all these elements meet again in the first poem of the Book of the Odes, that finishes thus. The gentleman is in good company. Thus, this soup is called the soup of good company. Shi Gong burst out laughing. Since there is such a complex and strange soup, it's good that it has such a complex and strange name. Very well. Very well. You're a complex and strange little one yourself. I would like to know which complex and strange father that sired you. In any case, this soup is truly exquisite, much better tasting than the soup with cherries that I ate, approximately 10 years ago, in the kitchen of the Imperial Palace. You have a pass to the Imperial kitchen? Asked Huang Rong. Tell me, and see if I'll try to prepare something that will please you just as well. Shi Gong devoured literally, and didn't have time to reply. He halted himself when he had reached the bottom of the bowls. In the Imperial kitchen, he explained, there are lots of good things of course, But nothing is worth the 2 dishes that here are. If there is well of 5 flavored slices of mandarin duck that was delicious, but I don't know how it was prepared. And it was the emperor that invited you? Asked Go Jing. Absolutely, said Shi Gong while laughing. The emperor treated me, but he didn't know that. I lived hidden on a big beam of the imperial kitchen for 3 months, while tasting each of the dishes intended for the emperor. If I found it to my taste, I kept it for me, otherwise, I left it to him. The cooks believed that there were ghosts. This person really is excessively greedy, thought Go Jing and Huang Rong to themselves. But he is also insanely audacious. Little chap, said Shi Gong while laughing, your little girlfriend is the best cook in the world, your happiness is assured. Goodness! Why didn't I meet such a woman when I was young? He seemed sincerely sorry. Huang Rong, with a hint of a smile, prepared the remainder for Go Jing and for her. 1 bowl of rice was more than enough for her, while the young man put away 4 big bowls. As for the exquisite placement, it did not seem to make a difference to him. Shi Gong shook his head while sighing. Like a bull chewing on peonies. What a shame! What a shame! Huang Rong put a hand in front of her mouth to prevent herself from laughing. Bulls. Do they like peonies? Go Jing asked himself. There are many bulls in Mongolia, but no peonies. Then indeed I have never seen bulls eating peonies. But why does he keep saying what a shame? Shi Gong patted his stomach and says. Good, you are both practitioners of the martial arts. I clearly saw that right away. The little one went to such trouble to prepare such exquisite dishes for me, certainly has bad intentions, such as, for instance, to persuade me to give you some instruction. Is that not correct? Good, I recognize that, after having so well eaten, I would have scruples to leave me without giving something in return. Come with me. He took up his gourd, his bamboo cane, and went out. Go Jing and Huang Rong followed until they reached outside of town. What would you want to learn? Shi Gong demanded of Go Jing. Martial arts are so varied, said the young man to himself. If I want to learn something, how is he sure that he'll be able to teach it to me? While he reflected, Huang Rong had begun to speak. Shi Gong, his gong fu is inferior to mine, and so he gets angry often, because he's always trying to beat me. When do I get angry? Protested Go Jing. Huang Rong glanced at him, telling him to be quiet. For my part, said Shi Gong while laughing, I have the impression that all his movements are firm and assured. That means that it has a good basis of Neogong. How would he be inferior to you? Good, why don't you match skills a little? Huang Rong moved aside some steps and cried. My Jing, come on. Go Jing hesitated again. If you don't show what you're capable of, said Huang Rong, how do you expect this elder to correct you? On guard. She jumps on him and attacked with a palm stroke. Go Jing blocked the blow, but she already had changed tactics, and attacked with a kick. Well done, little one. Shi Gong said. Pretty blow. Fight seriously, advised Huang Rong in a low voice. Go Jing itself concentrated and executed conscientiously the powerful southern mountain palm taught by Nan Ziren. Huang Rong defended herself nimbly, jumping upwards and downwards. Then suddenly, she modified his technique and executed the palm of the divine sword falling the hero, created by his father. This palm technique resembled its name, divine sword, for it was adapted from a sword technique. She shook her arms in all directions. Her opponent was encircled by the palm shadows, incapable to determine if they were feigned or real. It was as though if the wind had got up in the wood of fishing, dropping 1,000 flowers. The beauty of the gestures resided in their lightness and their aerial grace, so well that Huang Rong resembled a butterfly taking flight. As her Neogong lacked again power, its blows were not as violent and also as terrifying as they should have been. It was of little importance, for Go Jing, stunned by the multiplicity of the shadows in front of his eyes, had lost all means to resist in some seconds. He received 4 palm blows, on the 2 shoulders, on the chest and on the back, but he was not injured, since Huang Rong had not struck with force. She stepped back with a smile. "Well done, Ronger." Go Jing exclaimed in genuine admiration. "What a beautiful palm demonstration." "Your father is so powerful," said Hong in an icy voice. "Why do you want me to give lessons to this simple-minded one?" Huang Rong was startled. "According to father," she said to herself, "since he created this palm of the divine sword falling the hero, he not some again never is served himself. How the venerable seventh recognized it?" "Shi Gong," she demanded. "You know my father?" "Indeed, he is the Eastern heretic, and I, the Northern beggar. Don't you think that we lacked occasions to match skills?" "He matched blows with father," Huang Rong said to herself, "and managed to survive. Thoughts really astonishing. Now I understand how the Northern beggar can be ranked alongside the Eastern heretic." "And how did recognize you me?" she demanded again. "Just look at yourself in a mirror," replied Hong. "Your nose and your eyes, are they not even as those of your father?" "At first, I did not think about that. I felt only that your face appeared familiar to me, but next your demonstration unveiled the jar to the roses. You believe that this old beggar does not recognize the gongfu of the Peach Blossom Island?" Even if I again had not seen this palm, I doubted myself well that alone a crafty fellow as your dad would have been able to invent it. And the names of your two dishes, what were they?" "Plum flowers fall at the jade flute's song, and the soup of good company. It was doubtless your dad that invented them?" "You really can read minds," said Huang Rong while laughing. "Then, according to you, my dad is very strong, isn't that right?" "Of course he is powerful," said Shi Gong coldly, "but he is not the most powerful in all the world." "Then, surely you're the most powerful in this world?" Huang Rong exclaimed while applauding. "Not necessarily," Shi Gong said. 20 years ago, we met all 5 of us, Eastern Heretic, Western Venom, Southern Emperor, Northern Beggar and Central Divine, at the summit of Huashan Mount Hua, to match ourselves. The confrontation lasted 7 days and 7 nights. Finally, Central Divine revealed himself to be the most powerful, and we all gladly recognized it." "Who then is the Central Divine?" asked Huang Rong. "Your father never told you?" "No. Father said that, in the martial arts world, there are more bad things than good, and that there was no point for girls of good family to hear to speak, then it about it speaks me. And then after, he scolded me very strongly, he didn't love me anymore, so then I ran away. And he doesn't want anything to do with me." Her eyes fell, her face sad. "Ah, that old monster!" Shi Gong swore. "What? I won't allow you to insult my father!" Huang Rong exclaimed. "What a pity that I was always too poor!" exclaimed Shi Gong, while laughing. "No one ever wanted to marry me. Otherwise, I would have a kind girl like you, and never would I have left you." "Indeed," said Huang Rong while bursting out laughing. "If I left, what would you do to eat?" "Fair enough." Shi Gong agreed with a sigh. "Well, to answer your question, the Central Divine is Wang Chongyang, master of the Quanzhen sect. But, after his death, it's difficult to say who's the world's most powerful." "The Quanzhen sect?" Huang Rong said. "There is a fellow called Q, another called Wang, and yet another named Ma. These are all of the Taoist obtuse ones, but I find their gongfu rather pathetic. They fought with people, and in 2 times 3 movements did to spread themselves." "Ah yes? They were doubtless disciples of Wang Chongyang. It seems that, among his 7 disciples, Q Chuji is the most powerful, but it is certain that they are not even close to their martial uncle, Zuba Tong." Upon hearing this name, Huang Rong was startled. She was about to say something then stopped herself. Go Jing, who was himself just satisfied to listen to their conversation, interrupted. "It's true, Master Ma said that they had a martial uncle, but he did not mention the name of this Taoist master." "Zuba Tong is not a Taoist," Shi Gong replied. He is a secular person, who was personally taught by his martial brother, Wang Chongyang. I say, my simple-minded one, you seem me well clumsy. This that your father-in-law, so fine and so crafty, really appreciates you? Go Jing, who had never thought he had a father-in-law, stammered, without knowing how to reply. My father is yet to see him again, said Huang Rong, smiling. If you could be kind enough to give him some pointers, then, thanks to you, my dad will have some appreciation for him. Little rogue. Shi Gong grumbled. Who has learned not even a tenth of her father's gong fu, but who has inherited all his trickery and cleverness. I don't like your flattery and your toadying. And, also I never take disciples. Who wants a stupid one like that? To leave you, that seem to consider it as a treasure. You plan to get me to teach your little dumb husband. Huh? This old beggar will not fall in such a trap. Huang Rong bowed her head, red to the forehead. She never had not applied to learn the martial arts. His father himself was so strong, she nothing had learned seriously of him. Why would she want to learn from Shi Gong? Only, see that the gongfu of Go Jing was not up to the mark, that his six Shifu considered her to be a little witch. She rejoiced at having met such a master as Shi Gong, hoping that he would accept passing on a little of his knowledge to his well-loved one. So that, in front of his masters and in front of Qiu Chuji's Taoists, Go Jing would not have to be scared, like a mouse in front of the cats. Now, Shi Gong was very greedy and always grinning, but he was not stupid, and he had seen through her act all along. The old beggar, muttering to himself, left without a backwards glance. The two young people stood silently for a long moment. Wronger, Go Jing finally said, this elder has a rather original character. Huang Rong heard a light rustle in the foliage, above their head, and realized that Shi Gong had done a big turn before returning, discreetly, to the top of the tree. He's a really kind person, she said then. And his gongfu is much stronger than my father's. He hasn't shown his skills, Go Jing wondered aloud. How do you know that? My dad told me so. What exactly did he say? He said that, in today's world, there was only one person who could beat him, and that was the divine nine-fingered beggar, Hong Shi Gong. Unfortunately, as this elder is by mounts and by his worth, he has seldom had the occasion to see him and exchange pointers. In fact, after he had moved away, Shi Gong had deployed his incomparable Qinggong and had returned to the top of the tree, high above the heads of the young people. He wanted to hear their conversation and to assure himself that they had not been sent by Huang Yaoshi to steal his skills. The words of Huang Rong filled him with pride. So, he said to himself, Huang Yaoshi never wanted to accept my superiority, but deep within himself, he admires me nonetheless. How could he have guessed that it was all pure and simple invention from the girl? I didn't learn great things from my father, Huang Rong went on, but thought's my fault. I enjoyed having fun too much, and never wanted to apply myself. Now, having had the fortune to meet Elder Hong, if he had wanted to give me some lesson, that would have been again better than with my father. What a shame I offended him, without wanting to. And she herself started to sob. At first, she pretended, and Go Jing tried to console her with softness. Then she thought about the death of her mother, the intransigence of her father, and started to truly weep. Shi Gong, atop his tree, in was all returned one,